Hey everybody, it's MLive and Matt Wenzel here with Kyle Austin. We just spoke to Mark D'Antonio as well as the three captains here at Spartan Stadium. Kyle, just start off, what was your main one thing to take away from
Well, Mark D'Antonio is in rivalry week mode. I'm not sure every Michigan State fan sees this one as big, in the Ohio State or Michigan category. But I think Mark D'Antonio does because of the history of it. You go back to it's 50 years since the 66 game, which I think is relevant. He really sees this as a huge game on their schedule. He's a little bit more guarded. We only talked to captains today. They're not opening it up and letting us talk to younger guys. I think they don't want definitely any bulletin board material. So, they've got the first one out of the way, and it's just kind of a different atmosphere around here. I think they're really honing in. They're really, really ready to play. You heard Tyler O'Connor. I think he's been itching. He waits 4 years to be the starting quarterback. It's to play against Furman, and then has to sit for another week. So they're in game mode. I think they're very ready to play. I think they're amped up, and I think they see this as their huge game of the preseason.
Yeah, no question about it. I think if you look back, they've lost 3 straight against Notre Dame, which I think you wrote a story this week about.
That's right.
Notre Dame is the only team to beat Michigan State 3 times in D'Antonio's tenure. They haven't won since 2011, and they haven't won at Notre Dame since 2007, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, it's been a tough rivalry for them at times. Obviously, people look back to the last game in 2013 as far as the penalties. They felt like that's a game they could have won. Then they obviously go on and they run the table from there. Mark D'Antonio, it was funny. He was asked about how many times Brian Kelly threw deep on him in that game. And he off the top of his head immediately. He said 20 times. So that's one thing I'll be looking for. How much is Brian Kelly going to throw deep? Is he going to try to do that again? If I'm him and I'm playing against Michigan State, that's what I'm looking at as a weak point, frankly. I think those linebackers are good. They're getting Davis back. I think that defensive line can hold its own. But you look at how much Furman did against Darian Hicks, throwing at him constantly. You look at how inconsistent some of those guys have been. I think that Michigan State's expecting that secondary to get tested, and I think Brian Kelly will. But then the flip side of that, if you know anything about Notre Dame's personnel, they've lost a couple key guys in their secondary. And you look at Texas, they had a freshman quarterback throw over 300 yards against them. So I think on the flip side that this could be kind of Tyler O'Connor's coming out game. And the first game where they really test him, and it's make or break for him. Obviously, he started at Ohio State last year, but the game plan kind of minimized his throwing. A lot of running and a lot of short passes. In Furman, they kind of kept things bottled up. They didn't really open things up. I think this is the game where they asked him to go be like Connor Cook and go throw maybe 25 times and win the game for us. And that'll be a new challenge for him, and we'll see how he does with it.
Okay. I think by my math, 13 was the last game, right?
13, yeah.
So 10 would have been the last year they won against Notre Dame.
That's right.
Okay, just clarifying my mistake. You open against Furman, get the bye week. It's really unusual. They tried to spin it in the positive way as possible, which nothing else to do. I guess. Do you want to care to take a guess on how you think the bye week will affect them? Playing not convincing win against Furman, and then to have to go to Notre Dame at night.
I think they're in an advantageous situation in that nobody really knows anything about this team. If you ask me, they played a game, but it's against subpar competition, which it's hard to judge a team based on that. And they didn't show a whole lot. I thought their offense was pretty basic in what they did. I think they didn't show a whole lot of different packages. So I think that's an advantage in that they haven't showed a lot. And Notre Dame had to play at Texas. They couldn't hold anything back there, obviously going to overtime and losing. And then they play a second game. So it's advantageous from that. They had a couple minor injuries, and it sounds like everybody's fine. R.J. Shelton's going to go. Felton Davis is going to go. They get Ed Davis back. It sounds like he's going to play. Might not be a whole lot, but he will play some. So I've always thought that the bye could help them a little bit this week. I never thought byes help a whole lot in next week, but it helps some. I think the bigger issue is going to be towards the end of the season when you get towards Ohio State, you get towards Penn State. If they got guys with injuries, then they're going to be banged up and they're going to wish they had the bye mid-season like normal. But I think for this week, it helps. From a mindset, you don't know. Maybe we saw them come out for the opener and play, frankly, pretty undisciplined as far as their penalties and some of the mistakes that they made with a couple turnovers, too. Maybe they've got that same kind of mindset after a bye week. I could see that. That wouldn't shock me. But overall, I think it'll be more positive than negative.
Okay. Care to take a place a wager?
I haven't made my final prediction yet. I have a tough time seeing them win down there. This is the first real test. And I know that they've got a lot of guys that have played before, but you got a lot of guys playing their first really key role in a marquee game like this. new starters, freshmen, and I have a hard time thinking that they're going to be able to do this against Notre Dame. I think Kaiser has really impressed me. I think he's the type of quarterback that can give them a lot of trouble, whether it's testing their secondary. He's enough of a dual threat guy that I think you have to respect his running enough, and I think could see him having a good day. And Tyler O'Connor, if he comes out and looks like Connor Cook, I think that's the key to them doing it. But if not, I think they lose a close one down there.
Okay, well, we'll find out Saturday night. For Kyle Austin, I'm Matt Wenzel. Thanks. Have a nice day.